The Bears pulled out a tough victory against a good team, helmed by a quarterback that's dogged them for nearly 20 years, and coached by a guy they should have hired, 7 years ago? And they did all this on a short week. It was far from a perfect game, and the Bears did literally none of the things that I said they'd need to do in the last video. Like I said, I'm just some asshole on the internet, and Matt Nagy is an NFL coach. For a reason. But they fought back from a 13-point deficit and pulled off a victory that very few people thought they had a chance to, myself included. So, in light of that deeply imperfect victory, we're going to take a look at a deeply imperfect play that still resulted in success. Because sometimes an entire game can be represented by just one play. Okay, Bears are in 11 personnel here, so that just means one running back and one tight end. So 1, 1, 11. That leaves 3 wide receivers. Miller, Mooney, and down here on the non-trip side, you have Robinson. The Bucs are in a big dime formation, so really what that means is 6 defensive backs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And up front, you have outside linebackers Shaq Barrett and Nelson Anthony. And on the interior, you have Dominic Sue and Vita Vea. And in the middle, you have Levante David. Okay, the Bears are running 3 deep routes out of this play, so it's obviously been set up to get chunk yards. You got Robinson here, running what looks like a little curl route. You have Miller coming out here, running the dig route. And you have Mooney running a deep crosser to the opposite seam, which is a route that they like to run out of this set. You can actually check out one of my other videos on it here. They also have 2 short routes built into this play. So you have Graham coming out, run a little in route, and you have Montgomery, who initially stays into block and then leaks out into the flat. Now, what makes this a good play design is the fact that the trips formation up top has drawn most of the attention on the defense, meaning you have 1, 2, 3, 4 DBs on this side of the field, leaving just 1, 2 on this side. Now, the safety is likely going to build deep, and Robinson is going to take his guy at least 10 yards deep. So that leaves this whole area of the field pretty much open for Montgomery out in the flat. Really, the only chance that this gets covered is if, say, the outside linebacker drops into coverage and covers the flat, or possibly the middle linebacker comes out and covers the flat. Both of those are pretty unlikely considering they already have 6 DBs back in the field, so chances are this area here going to be open. Okay, moving this forward a little bit, we see everybody start to get into their routes. Now, the first thing that jumps out to me here is that Jimmy Graham is really rounding this thing out. Now, he's only 5 yards down the field, and he's also Jimmy Graham, so he can't be moving very fast. So why he's rounding this thing off this much is beyond me. It's either a really lazy route or Jimmy Graham has the agility of a 90-year-old geriatric. Whatever, I guess. Jimmy Graham's job at this point is pretty much just to be 6'7", so I guess it doesn't matter that much. Here in the middle, you start to see Darnell Mooney gain some separation after the initial press, and he's coming out over here. Now, I would assume that Mooney is the primary read on this because he's the deep route. The other guys basically come out here and they stop. But Mooney's route actually takes him all the way to the end zone. So that leaves Miller and Robinson probably as the secondaries, with Graham and Montgomery the tertiary routes or the dump-off routes. Alright, let's jump this ahead a bit. First off, this camera is going to be annoying. It's going to flip right through the middle of the damn play. Whatever, we'll deal with it. Alright, looking at the play, you've got the linebacker and the safety up tight. Now, what that's going to do is tell Nick Foles that pressure could be coming. And you can see right here, he's looking directly at it. So he's reading that pre-snap and keeping that in the back of his head. Okay, moving forward. We see everybody at least a step into their first move, except for Massey. I swear, it's every week with this. If it's not Leno, it's Massey. If it's not Massey, it's Graham. It's just, I just can't anymore. I just cannot with this. So we're moving on. Okay. Safety bailed deep, so he's not coming. Lavonte David, on the other hand, is clearly coming on an inside blitz. And Foles is looking right at him, so he knows pressure's coming. For the rest of this, the line is straight up man blocking. Everyone who's covered just takes their guy. So you got Ifedi taking Sue. You've got Daniels taking on Vita Vea. You got Massey, God help me, taking on Shaq Barrett. And you got Leno taking on Nelson Anthony. Whitehair is actually uncovered, so what he's going to do is drop in a little bit and just wait and see. So he's looking at both guards here, trying to figure out who needs help. And whichever one needs it first, he's going to go and double that guy. Stepping forward. We see that Sue and Vea both move to the inside. That's a clear indication that they're running a stunt. Stunts are generally designed to draw a double team from the center, which allows one of the two tackles to leak inside and get a free shot at the quarterback. This, and the fact that David is coming on an inside blitz, is going to kill any notion in Foles' head that pressure might not be coming. Moving forward, Sue has slipped to the inside of Ifedi. David has actually noticed that there's nothing going on in here, so he's going to pull, circle around, and try and slip into the B gap to try and get a free shot at the quarterback. Daniels has actually done a pretty decent job on Vita Vea out here. He hasn't let him get to the inside, and he's staying right on him. Moving forward. And Massey is so far behind Barrett that he can't even alter his path to the quarterback at this point. This is about as much of an Olay block as you're going to see in the NFL. It's just depressing. Moving to the inside, we see Whitehair addressing the most imminent threat, and he throws a double team onto Sue. We see Daniels continue to stick to Vita Vea and push him to the inside, closing up this gap here and any chance he has of finding the path to the quarterback. David continues to circle around and find his way into the B gap, trying to get a beat on Nick Foles. Another step forward. And we're just going to ignore all of this out here so I don't wind up throwing my stylus into my monitor. Now, we see Lavonte David now into the B gap with a completely free shot at the quarterback. We see Cody Whitehair and Ifedi have executed a pretty nice double team on Sue to keep him from getting to the quarterback. We see Daniels has run his guy completely over here, closing off any kind of lane to the quarterback. So instead, Vey decides he's going to twist, come out here and follow David into the opposite B gap. Montgomery, with nobody left to block, has leaked out here into the flat. And Foles, who absolutely positively knows pressure is coming now, is still keeping his eyes downfield, waiting to see if something comes open before he's got to get rid of the ball. All right, forward yet again. Now, Shaq Barrett, coming fast. Avante David, also coming fast. Foles knew it was coming. Well, not Barrett, because who could have predicted Bobby Massey would whiff that badly. But he knew pressure was coming regardless, so he was prepared for it. Nothing's open yet downfield, so he starts to swing his head toward Montgomery. On a little side note, Charles Leno is actually holding up pretty well on the outside. Granted, he's facing Nelson Anthony and not Jason Pierre-Paul, but you know what? Let's blue sky this thing for a little bit. Stepping forward. David Montgomery hasn't quite finished with his route yet, so Foles takes a little step to his left inside the pocket to buy some time. You now have 1, 2, 3 defenders bearing down on the QB. It's generally not what you want to see. Forward once more. You see Montgomery get his head around, and Foles lets this one go just as pressure gets there. Now, Montgomery wasn't finished with his route. He hadn't sat down yet. So my guess here is that Foles yelled something at him to get his attention, whether it was 32, or maybe he yelled ball, or maybe he yelled David, or maybe just hey. Whatever it was, he got his attention and he delivered the ball out to him. Now, the ball's a little ducky, but it's mostly because Foles had to kind of short arm the throw just to get it out there because Barrett was literally touching him when he let it go. Now, you might have noticed that there is literally nobody in this area of the field. It's good play design. And he only has Ndamukong Suh in pursuit. Now, David Montgomery's not the fastest running back out there, but that's probably a foot race he's going to win. And the ensuing run after catch gets the Bears 12 yards, so not bad. Now, this play represents good design that both attempts to get big yards while also giving your QB high percentage throws underneath and accounts for poor execution. Bobby. On the QB side, Foles recognized what was going on. He knew his hot read, he hung in the pocket as long as he could, and he delivered a ball for a good gain. That's smart football, both from Matt Nagy and Nick Foles. It also shows how cool under pressure Nick Foles is. The guy can read a defense, and he generally makes good decisions. Sure, sometimes his lack of arm talent lets him down, but above the shoulders, Nick Foles is as good as they come. Of course, this is a tough front, as was the Colts the week before, but the Bears' O-line has some personnel issues. The tackles are a bit of a problem, and now with Daniels out, they're getting especially thin on the inside. We're going to need more heady plays and play calls from Nick Foles and Matt Nagy because this will not be the last game that they're under pressure.